On a walk one rainy November day, I met a pecan tree along the way. One side had died, its black splintered branches splayed on the ground, while the other side lived, autumn spirit turning once green leaves to brown. Its lesson became clearer as I continued my walk. It's as old as the universe, as old as song. When fate or chance deals you a mortal blow, you must take what's left over and continue to grow. Indeed, as the pecan tree does, you must also do. Let the truth of the earth flow through you. I am as complex as I can be, and I am patient with dear me because I really want to see the nature of this complexity. This will to live, love, and learn will never die. As a mountain oak falls and decays on the earth, it becomes a cradle for sapling progeny after birth, to multiply the old oak shade beneath the clear blue sky. So if I should soar so high that my wings do burn, I will say thanks for this lesson learned. And if I should crash into white-crested waves, I'll swim in love to paradise, a precious life to save. By balance, counterbalance, and faith in the flow, I swam the wide, dark waters, and my strength did grow. So strong was I upon reaching the distant side that I plied the mangrove bracken, no breaking my stride. Once through the fence of emerald dreams, I spied a mountain oak of spectral green. When I saw a shaft of light enter the venerable oak, I once stepped inside and started to float. As I rose to the top of this 100-year-old tree, I found an idea put there by me. I've a talent for words and laugh, yes I do. I try always to be kind, but at times I'm untrue. I write to remember what I sometimes forget. Live one day at a time to end a lifetime of regret. I'm lifted as I explore beyond my social condition. I'm quietly confident that all that is eternal, infinite, and one with everything is doing for me what I cannot do for myself. My mind is healed and strengthened by counting and remembering my many blessings often. In community, my fears are released and transformed into love freely given and received. My community becomes my refuge as I cultivate healthy, trusting relationships with other explorers. Prepared for success, I neither use nor abuse. I shine no matter what. I am enough. My journey to the harvest is blessed. Spirit draws me back to my beginning. It is the answer I seek for my wholeness. All are friends on this journey of final healing. As I release my fear, open to love, and act on the truth that all is well with my soul. The majority will share this understanding once I tell my story with honesty, care, and commitment. Indeed, faith is strengthened in community. Together we recover clarity, vision, and harmony. We discover what holds us back in a past wrought of confusion, despair, and fear. And we release this past to embrace this moment of new possibilities, trusting ourselves and our process. Our amazing and fabulous story will touch many hearts that yearn for the freedom of being enough. In full awareness, we know we are called to live in peace. We do not fear. We offer a helping hand to those who understand their destiny, and turning, we survey the surrounding wonder. We who gave up nothing for something, and refuges for playgrounds are pieces of a cosmic puzzle assembling itself into wholeness by our collective will to live in peace. We know that everything must change. All must be surrendered so that life can overcome death. The light has, through the dark night, come. We realize our destiny of long life and prosperity. We cross the threshold of new worlds where the real healing begins. We allow all that is to carry us. We breathe out and we breathe in. We are the resurrection. Now just go ahead and be better. In service to myself and the rest of humanity, I'm currently working 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 months annually, earning over $100,000 per year with my writing and creative empowerment services that inspire high-quality memoirs, personal stories, poetry, plays, fiber art design, drumming, and dance performances through touring, teaching, event planning, and hospitality for the good of all. I expect the best and get it in this lovely life of unsurpassed bravery, surrounded by a range of beauty and miles of grace. Indeed, in the name of love, I put myself in the way of love. Last line. Whether it is telling a story, writing a play or travel article, leading a tour, teaching a class, I fully, wholeheartedly, and lovingly embrace my mission of respectfully empowering memoir writers, playwrights, storytellers, poets, and fiber artists to express their gifts easily, regularly, and gracefully in a community that trusts, values, awakens, strengthens, enlivens, and enjoys both them and me. You have my word. And my name is Wallace. Joy, and welcome to our program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Ruth Jones, and as Wallace said to you, I'm a teacher, and I retired from teaching in 2011, in which I taught for the Board of Education for 32 years in the Harlem area. And it really is a commitment for me to be coming to Co-op City because I live in Harlem. And I have been coming here since February to join this family of writers because I love to write, so I came to work with them to do some writing. And I wrote 2 pieces that I will share with you at this time. And one of the things that I would tell my students when I was teaching, we should read and write daily. And seniors, we should also read and write daily. Because as seniors, we have a lot of experience and our culture we want to pass on to the younger generation. And in order to do that, we need to put it in writing so that we can pass it on. Now, there was one piece that I will read to you. My son was a volunteer firefighter in Long Island, where we once lived. And that experience was really a jubilant occasion, and I wrote about it. The title of the piece is The Rescue. They lay their lives on the line to protect and keep us safe. Sirens are unpleasant to most people's ears, but for me, the sirens brought great memories. In Long Island, where I lived, the fire department brought joy to the community and to the neighborhood. My son played Santa Claus at Christmas time. He came into the community with sirens, bells, and Christmas music. The sirens were so loud that all the neighbors came out to join the celebration. Kids came from every house to the fire truck to receive toys and candy. This was a jubilant occasion, which I will never forget. This occasion created great memories for me and my children. Okay, now the second piece that I will read, it was a story. I communicate with my grandchildren a lot. And every moment with them is a teachable moment. And one of the things that my granddaughter has said to me, she lived near a subway station. And she said to me, I saw a mouse. So I had conversations with her about the mouse. I wanted to know from her, what was the mouse doing, what time of the day did you see him? And we had a conversation about it. So since every moment was a teachable moment, I told her that if you live near a subway station or a construction site, it's possible that you might see in an old tenement house a mouse or perhaps a rat. So I wrote this poem for her. There is a mouse in my house. He is very curious at night there was a mouse in my house. He's very curious at night when the lights go out. He munches on the crackers. He nibbles at the bread. His behavior changes when I'm in bed. The creature runs here, he runs there, he runs everywhere. Suddenly, I hear a fall. To my surprise, he's coming down the wall. I quickly leaped from my bed and landed on his head. Well, I guess I outsmarted that quack. I know for sure he will not be back. I know for Okay.
Okay, it's called The Times. I do not know what it is about you that closes and opens my memories in my heart. Was it the day that we met, the times that we were together, or the time that now we are apart? Could it be the times that we could talk to each other and then we could not? Perhaps it's the time when you would sit by the window, or the day you could not go to the window. Maybe it was the time I was there for you and could help you, or the day I could do nothing. And you were finding God's hand, light close to you that day, but the memories are still open. Thank you. Why just want me to leave the lens of light again?
Because y'all didn't hear it, did you?
No.
Okay, so
But did you hear me there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, it says, come, walk with me through the lens of light. It's not always easy, nor is it just right. Learning the power of the ballot in order to vote. Many ballots were fought, many laws and rewrote. There were many summers, spring, winter, and fall. With confidence, we survived them all. Walking had a new me and her day reached the moon. We saw it in color from noon to noon. iPods, Blackberries, and TV and high definitions are some of the inventions that we had not witnessed. James Brown would get on the good foot and let us know it's a man's world. But the Beatles told us respect is mandatory for boys, women, and girls. Now my vision and lens have been dimmed by time. Obama's president, so makes it just fun.
The saga of a working mom. I inhaled his fresh scent as I held him in my arms. Ian was only a few minutes old, but I felt the love of a lifetime. His jet black hair had the fragrance of an ocean breeze. Ian screamed during his first pediatric appointment when the doctor put him on a cold metal slab to record his height. I immediately picked him up and cuddled his tender body and heard his contented murmurs. My second son, Alan, was born on June 26, 1983. When I held him in my arms, I felt the love of a second lifetime. Although I already experienced the scent of a newborn baby, I was still extremely overjoyed at his brand new scent. My husband had a good, steady job at a bank in the letter of credit department. He received an annual bonus from the bank, which enabled me to stay home with the children. Sam came home one night in July of 1986 and told me that the bank had been taken over by a corporation and there would no longer be any yearly bonuses. I still remained at home with the children, but we were struggling to pay the bills and keep a roof over our heads. The decision was made. I would go back to work. In February of 1987, I applied for a job as a school secretary at Jane Addams High School in the Bronx. I was interviewed by the assistant principal along with another secretary who had graduated from Jane Addams. He had a gruff attitude and didn't seem to care about professional courtesy. We got the job, but were placed in an office where we had no formal assignment for a week. Finally, the principal assigned us to her office. My son Ian was in second grade and Alan was 3 years old. Before I began my trip to work, I had to wait with my son at the bus stop and then take Alan for a 15-minute bus ride to the daycare center. I then began my journey to work. I took a bus to the number 5 train at Gun Hill Road and changed at 180th Street for the number 2 local to Prospect Avenue. The entire trip, including school and daycare drop-off, took approximately 1.5 hours. As I enter the train while the doors close behind me, I strike a worried pose. I think of my children's days supervised by strangers and pray that they are safe. Each tearful stop pulls me away from my babies. While holding onto a strap, I think of that crap I will get from my boss for being late. When I get off at my final destination, I can hear my children screeching behind me. When I enter the school doors, my supervisor is yelling at me for being 15 minutes late. I told him there were train delays, but he didn't want to hear it. The next day I was on time, but my son's school called me to pick him up as he had a stomachache. The next day I went to my mailbox and there was a light blue interoffice memo from my supervisor that read, Please see me about you leaving early. He made it sound like I left early to go shopping or on a picnic. He told me that I have too many incidents where I have to pick up my sick son. I was very hurt and felt he had no sympathy for my children. I yelled, "This is bull!" and left the building and took a walk. Next week, I received a call from my son's school that he was sick with fever and flu. I was again yelled at by my supervisor. It felt like my son was back on the cold silver slab in the pediatrician's office, but I wasn't there to pick him up and cuddle him. When I got to my son's school, he was lying on a wooden bench with a pillow and covered by a blanket. As the guilt swelled in my heart, he smiled at me, as if to say the wait was worth seeing me. Life may have been chaotic, but my children have grown up to be kind and successful adults. My children are no longer screeching behind me, but reaching ahead of me.
My kitchen is on fire. My edges are killing me. My sides are being pinched in by my mother's knees. I twist and turn trying to escape, but for me now, there is no way out. No way to escape the torture of getting my hair done. I hated this time. Hated being held captive, sitting still and going into different levels of hell. The streets call out to me, and the voices of my friends playing dodgeball, and the rattling of skates along the sidewalk. They're out there laughing and having so much fun. Me, I'm a prisoner, at least for another hour. Dixie Peach applied to my scalp, then the comb raked through, then Dixie Peach again. Then come the braids. The plaiting and the pulling of hair that is so tight it changes the very contours of my face. My will broken, my head is throbbing. I hope and pray for freedom. Finally it comes. I hear the words, "All done." I bolt out the door and down the steps and off into the streets into freedom. At last the sun beats down upon me, soothing my aching head.
When I was about 4 years old, my mother, sister, brother, and I left a sharecropping existence in South Carolina to join our father in New York. We lived on a farm on my father's employee's land. My dad farming tobacco, cotton, vegetables, and the like. We had no running water or other utilities in this rural town called New Hope. So my father left for New York earlier to obtain employment in an apartment for us. He worked in Harlem Hospital as an elevator operator. We were part of the Great Migration to the north. When the rest of the family arrived in Penn Station, it was about 1939 and 1940. As I approached a big flight of stairs I had never seen before, I looked up and they seemed to be moving into oblivion. The stairs were moving. While my mother held my younger brother, who had cerebral palsy, in one arm, clutched her purse and a piece of luggage in the other, she instructed me to step on the stairs. My sister complied. I, however, was petrified. I couldn't move. I don't remember anything else about Penn Station, how it looked, the other people who were probably bustling about, doing their business. I felt that if I stepped on those stairs, I would disappear into oblivion. I didn't know what would happen to me. I didn't want to touch them or feel them. All I saw was my entire family disappearing before my very eyes. I noticed my father at the top of the stairs, reaching out. I wish I could have reached him and touched him so he would pick me up, but I was immobilized, frozen in my tracks. Suddenly, a tall, dark man picked me up and carried me up the escalator. I was so relieved. I was so happy to be reunited with my family. Even after many years, I still get a lump in my throat when I step on an escalator. My developmental years, as I mentioned before, was in Harlem, 115th Street between 5th and Lenox. My father was a cab driver at this time and the superintendent of a building. Things changed. My mother was a housewife. There were 2 boys and 2 girls in our family. Our building was 5 stories tall. We lived in the basement apartment of 9 big rooms in the backyard. Despite the backyard, very little time was spent there. There was a stoop with about 5 steps. At the top was a landing approaching the hallway. My sister and I spent a lot of time there with friends, playing checkers, jacks, dominoes, homemade. One of my favorites were dolls. My aunts lived with us and worked in a doll factory. They bought my sister and I dolls. The dolls were mostly like babies. We would feed them, dress them, wrap them in blankets, and I had a carriage and would take them for a stroll. As I look back, I wondered about one day when my sister, mother, and I went to a variety store on 5th Avenue. With all the dolls that I had, I saw a doll that I loved and I had to have. Before I knew it, I grabbed the doll, covered it with a blanket, stuffed it in my jacket. No one noticed the bundle as we left the store, but my mother did when we got home. When she saw the bundle and discovered the doll, she marched me right back to the store and made me apologize to the proprietor. I was so ashamed. I eventually donated those dolls to a firm that repaired and restored dolls and distributed them to disadvantaged youths.
Well, if you want to know about my shyness, you'll have to buy the book because I'm not going to read that one. But I will read the one about a trip I took. It was the first time I ever left the States. And when we had to write something about travel, I've traveled a lot of places since then, but this memory sticks in my mind. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
A family trip to Niagara Falls. It was 1982 when my family took a trip to Niagara Falls in Canada. My husband drove up to the border, showed the security guard his driver's license, and we entered Canada. Today, we would all have to show passports, including my 2 young sons. Maybe open the trunk for searching and get out of the car to pass through a metal detector, even the kids. Seeing the falls was spectacular. The boys enjoyed getting close enough to get soaking wet. It was late afternoon, so we went to the motel room to change to dry clothes. I was curious to see what the falls looked like from the American side. Since our motel room was only about half a mile from the border, I thought of going there before dinner. However, my family had become engrossed in watching television. I asked, anyone want to come with me for a walk? No answer. Okay if I go over the falls in a barrel? Still no answer. Bye. Bye, they replied. Leaving everything and everyone behind, I left on my solo adventure. 15 minutes later, I reached the border, somehow finding my way. With security guards all around, I walked across to American soil. The falls was surrounded by the beauty of unadulterated nature. Trees, bushes, hills, and flowing water cascading into a deep chasm. Not even a fence or a gate to prevent someone from falling or jumping. Taking no chances, I quickly backed away. It was so quiet and lonely that almost immediately I wanted to go back. No problem, right? Wrong. The tall, husky guard at the gate said, passport. I said, oh, driver's license. I didn't bring anything with me to take a walk from my motel room. What motel? I don't remember the name. I felt like Lucy on the I Love Lucy show. What's your name? Fortunately, I remembered that. Wait over there, he said. Would they take me to jail? By now I was hungry. What kind of food would I get in jail? How would my husband know where I was? After an eternity of about 5 minutes, an even more ominous-looking security officer approached. Why did you cross the border? He inquired. I just took a walk. My husband and kids are in a motel not far from here. We're on vacation. Maybe the tears welling up in my eyes convinced him. Pointing to the direction, he said, go. I went. Why did I not mark my trail with rocks, stickers, balloons, cookie crumbs, anything? It took 15 minutes for me to reach the border, but 45 minutes to reach the motel. To this day, I still don't know how I found my way back. I remember thinking of the Wizard of Oz and repeating to myself, there's no place like motel. There's no place like motel. They were still watching TV when I opened the door. Where were you all this time? Said my husband. Mommy, I'm hungry, said my 7-year-old son. I'm starved, said my 9-year-old son. At least they had waited for me before going to eat.
Just one story about my grandmother. Grandma's homemade bread. I can smell the bread right now. Every time I think of homemade bread and Grandma, I can see her image in the kitchen in her home in Baltimore. A beautiful brown-skinned woman from Dominica in her late 40s, hair always neatly in a bun. She spoke softly, but her voice commanded your attention with love. Her accent reflected her French, West African, and Carib influences, Creole with a twang. Louisa Geraldine Thomas Smith, the matriarch of my mother's family, was born on the island of Dominica in the Lesser Antilles near Guadalupe and Martinique. She was the youngest child and the youngest child with a sister and a brother, my Aunt Germaine told me. At an early age, her mother, Veronica Thomas, sent her to live with the family as a traveling companion for their children. That family moved to Bolivia from Dominica and then to Trinidad. It was in Trinidad that she met my grandfather, Fitzroy Smith, a merchant seaman. They married and had 8 children. The last 2 were born in Baltimore, where the family finally settled in 1952 after a brief stay in New York City. My grandmother never returned to Dominica. She did, however, return to Trinidad one time with 2 of my aunts for the 1977 Carnival celebration. My grandma was of average height, but at the time she looked like a giant towering over all of us. My sister, brother, and I went to Baltimore every year as kids, leaving behind the busy hot city of New York to spend a month with her. Not only did I have grandma to play with, but I had my uncles and aunts, 3 of whom were in our age range, along with cousins and friends. Memorable fun times. I remember most fondly when we helped Grandma make bread. We all got excited when she decided to make us this treat. Because she never wrote anything down, I can only guess at the exact measurements of the ingredients she used to make bread. First, she would clear off the kitchen table and line up all the ingredients she would need. A 5-pound bag of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 cups of Crisco shortening, 2 packets of yeast and a cup of warm water to activate it, and 4 to 5 cups of warm water. Then we began making the bread.
First, Grandma dumped all the flour into the middle of the table, added the salt, and made a hole in the mound to put all the wet ingredients. She gave us each a chance to add these wet ingredients. We loved this part. Now, her job was to hand mix the ingredients together into the dough. She rolled and pressed the dough until she had kneaded it nice and smooth, adding water and shortening as necessary. Her hands were average and strong, and I wondered how she didn't get tired of kneading the dough for so long. After kneading the dough, Grandma divided it into 3 or 4 balls that she covered with a towel and left to rise to double their size. After the first rising, she punched down the balls and kneaded them again. Then she rolled each ball out flat into an oblong shape, and with her hand she formed the loaves and let them double in size again. We were always impatient with this process, always asking Grandma how long the rising would take and when was she going to put it in the 350-degree oven where she baked them for 30 to 45 minutes until golden brown. And as baking neared completion, the aroma from the oven was indescribably delicious. I can smell it right now. OMG. Now for the best part. After the bread was out of the oven and warm, Grandma would call us to the kitchen and cut a thick slab of bread for each of us, smothered with butter. Oh, the taste of that first bite, better than any store-bought bread. Boy, were we great bakers.
But the last piece of this program, I love this part, is we have our writers writing a letter to a young writer. Everybody remember to bring their pieces? So, did everybody bring? All the people brought their letters to a young writer. Okay, great. So we're just going to have those people who brought their pieces to read the letter. Now, the letter they're writing is not to you as a grown-up, right? They're writing this letter to that part of themselves that was discouraged from writing. Because, you know, people say, don't tell this family secret. What stays here, you know, don't put your business out in the street. But you can still have a journal, and you can still write the truth about how you felt, what happened. So this is a letter to your inner writer. Okay, if y'all want to just kind of come up here together, we'll just go right in succession. Everybody who brought the letters to the young writer.
My younger self. Dear Ellen, I know you are a typical 8-year-old who likes to play a lot when not at school, but you should make time for writing. You should write not only for class and homework assignments, but you should write for yourself. You should keep a journal of what you did during the day, family celebrations, poems, or anything that comes to your mind. Writing is not just an exercise, but it opens up your heart and soul with each stroke of the pen. Writing breaks down the barriers of race, religion, and ethnicity. When we share our writings with each other, we become a family that sees beyond the superficial. Stay in school and get a good education so you can be successful. And to do that, you must write. You must write your college application, your theses, your term papers, and essays. If you work very hard, you have an excellent opportunity to be successful in life. After you graduate from college, your chosen profession will most likely necessitate writing. If you do not want to go on to college but enter the business world, writing is an essential tool for your success. Even when you are successful, life will sometimes throw you a curveball. When this happens, write down your sorrows with hope in your heart. Start anew and the stars will shine for you. When we become adults, have busy jobs, children, and are taking care of our aging parents, we feel like we have lost some of our identity. You should keep writing not only to be successful, but to keep being Ellen. Your writings will reveal that you haven't lost your identity, but have gained insight and wisdom that is invaluable. You probably will retire sometime during your golden years, but you should never retire from writing. Writing is gold, shining on your paper, awaiting your next word, and wooing your thoughts to the paper. We all know the expression that the pen is mightier than the sword. It is not just an expression, but a truth. If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. If you live by the pen, your life will be renewed each time you write.
So, I got a post on Facebook that read, "When an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. When you're dead, no one can ask you personally about the stories of your life. It's important to tell your stories like our ancestors did long ago, passing them down from one generation to another. Now we have paper and pen to do this, and it's more permanent and lasting, so they won't be lost or forgotten. Journaling is one way you could start, not only writing stories about your life, but poetry or fictional stories as well. Writing things down and putting it on paper is freeing and a personal way of sharing yourself with friends and family. You may wake up in the morning with a story in your head like I did. Write it down. Nothing is silly because it's your story and no one else's. Don't be discouraged if the words don't come to you that paint the picture of what you want to say. Maybe you need to isolate yourself in a quiet place to think, or maybe a noisy, crowded place may trigger the thought or words. Just write what comes to your head, and then later you can reread it and refine it. Refine the who, what, when, and where about the story. You have to be patient with yourself. It is an interesting adventure into the corners of your mind. I know it was for me."
Dear 14-year-old Selma, I am writing this letter to you from the future, your future. So many years have passed since I was your age. Right now, you view elders as a different species and cannot imagine yourself older than a teenager. The reason for this letter is that I have so little writing from many years ago about which I could become nostalgic and share with my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Oops, I really wasn't supposed to foretell the future, but I think you believe that would happen someday. I want to encourage you to write more. You love to read, especially the poetry of Robert Louis Stevenson and Edgar Allan Poe. You have memorized many poems, including some sonnets by William Shakespeare. Do you know that you will never forget poems memorized in your childhood and teens? Do not be afraid to write. It is the only way to improve your writing skills. Keep a diary or a journal. You need not write what happens on a daily basis because that would be tedious and boring. Instead, write when you are excited about something, when you are happy or sad, when you are lonely. Do not be shy about sharing your feelings with others. Please put away that thesaurus, since simple words are as meaningful as synonyms you have never heard and may have different connotations than what you intended. Your writing skills will help you all through your school years, including college, when obtaining a job and qualifying for a promotion. Someday, you may even become a professional writer. However, even if you never do, writing creatively and sharing what you write with friends can be an enjoyable, worthwhile hobby and a lasting legacy. Yours forever, 70-year-old Selma.
Letter to my younger self. Dear Margaret Ann, despite what people would have you think, no one knows it all. Be sure of your gift. Don't doubt your creativity. Your art cannot be taught, it just is. Don't worry, just write. Write about what you know, feel, and cry about. Some things that you write will not make sense, even to you. That's okay. By the time you write it over, it will all be crystal clear. Then there will be some things that you write about that will tear your heart, and you will know that the muses rejoice. Choose your friends and enemies wisely, for both will affect your writing. Ignore the criticism of others. You don't have to explain anything to anyone. Live your life and enjoy.